Welcome everybody to Advanced Manifestation Group Training. Cory Michelle here. I just had to do a whole rearrange because the lighting was terrible in my Airbnb. I'm down on the Gold Coast of Australia, and this Airbnb is just not quite set up the way I'd want it to be with the lighting. It's a beautiful lighting. You can see the ocean and the beach over there, but last minute I had to come over to the couch because I was like not getting the right lighting from where I wanted. So today I'm ready to rock and roll with you're like, what is subconsciously blocking you? And this is part 2. So last week, what I asked you to look at was, what are your dominant thoughts going through your head every single day, and to write those down. And we got some really, really interesting things that people were saying. A lot of people were saying, oh, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what step to take. So a lot of like, I don't know, is a lot of you can't do this, right? And so today we want to actually take that next step and go, you know what? Now that we start to see what's going on in our subconscious, now let's see if we can do something different with it. All right. So the biggest thing with your subconscious is actually being able to become aware and conscious of your unconscious. Unconscious generally is the things that are your blind spots, the things you can't see, the things that you're like, I don't know why I keep doing this. And those thoughts that are in your head that you've been then observing instead of just having run your world, when we can start bringing those to the conscious and start seeing them, observing them, then you can do something with them. And when you can do something with them is when they're no longer subconscious, right? So share with me what yours were. What did you notice? Did you even do it? Or did your subconscious just forget? Now, if your subconscious is going to forgetting, you've got some deep subconscious work to do because you're not running the show. You're not consciously running your life. You're not consciously making your choices. How do we know this? Well, we know this that when we forget, bring something and say, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be aware of my thoughts every day. When we say that and then we forget, then what are you doing instead? You can ask yourself, well, what am I doing instead when I'm forgetting? Well, what's happening is your subconscious identity says, no, can't look at me. I'm running the show. And then your subconscious is responding to life, running the thoughts in your head. And you think, here's the biggest thing is you think, and this is everybody, not just you. You think that that's normal. That's just who you are. That voice in your head that's telling you, no, you can't. You just think that's who you are. That's just thinks that's your personality. You just think that that's just the way it is. I saw somebody recently, a friend of mine on Facebook, who said, I am just a people pleaser. This is my personality. And she was getting taken advantage of a lot. And she was talking about it. And she was just like, I don't want to complain about this, but this is like keeps going on and on and on. And I just keep taken advantage of. And I actually posted on there, which I don't normally do. And it's like, no, this is actually something in your subconscious. Your subconscious was trained, conditioned to believe that you are a people pleaser, and that is caring. So in your life, you will always be attuned to other people's realities. You will always feel like, I care, so I'm going to overgive. That's programming. Now, you say it's your personality, or we think it's our personality because, like, why wouldn't you think that? Because everybody talks about their personality, right? But your personality is actually your subconscious identity. Your personality of who you're naturally expressing as. So if you're naturally expressing as a people pleaser, like this person I'm talking about, then you'll just think that's who you are. You just think that that's a good thing about you. But in reality, it's not actually turning out all that great if you're being taken advantage of. So that subconscious identity is actually creating a lot of havoc and chaos in your life that maybe you want to change, but with that dominant thought, like, this is just my personality, right? Is justifying the fact that you're overgiving and don't have boundaries, right? That you're making a priority of everybody else versus yourself, right? And then we can go into all the other subconscious thoughts that come in that say, no, you can't make yourself a priority because that's selfish. You can't make yourself a priority because if you don't give, then that person won't love you, right? We have all of this conditioning that is layered into our subconscious identity that we claim so much of the time as valuable. and real and unchangeable. And when we are not observing it, when it's just running our thoughts, then it isn't changeable. It's not changeable at all because you think it's you. And if you think that those unconscious patterns and thoughts, ways of being, reactions are you, then there is no access to changing anything. When you start to question, say, whose thought is that? Where did that even come from? How long has this thought been running my life? One of the subconscious work is killer, man. It's killer. I have changed so many patterns in my life, so many. I'm just not even the same person multiple times over. And one of the ones that came up recently for me was this this unconscious addiction to losing weight. So I had this unconscious addiction to losing weight, and I didn't even know it. I just always thought I was heavy. I always, since I was 12, I wanted to lose weight. Everybody was on a diet. My mom had her own issues that I picked up there. And I have been on and off of diets, and some worked and some didn't. But I realized I was addicted to losing weight. And I went, wait a second. What is going on here? Why am I always trying to lose weight and I'm never actually happy with my body? And of course, there's been times in my life where I have been happy with my body, but not from this sustainable place because my unconscious thoughts were always going to, it's still not good enough. It's still not good enough. So you could still lose a little bit more weight there or whatever. And then when you're putting so much pressure on yourself, the opposite has to happen so that you can keep the pattern going. So my pattern was always on a diet, always trying to lose weight. And I went, wow, one day I started seeing the thoughts. They weren't running back here in my head of coming out of me. I was seeing them and I started going, oh my gosh, there's this ongoing thought pattern that was saying, you need to eat the right food. You're not eating the right food. You don't really want the right food. You want the bad food. All of these thoughts coming out. And I went, huh, that's really interesting. Really interesting. And that was the day I said, you know what? Losing weight is no longer my priority. I'm not going to go for losing weight anymore. I'm actually going to go for loving myself. And I reprogrammed it. So now the thoughts in my head are so different when I look in the mirror. The thoughts in my head are so different when I go to choose food or when I'm enjoying the nutrients of the food. Everything is different in how I relate to my body, look in the mirror, and what I choose. Totally different. And I could have said, well, that's just part of my personality because I have big bones or whatever excuse I want to make about it. But the reality is that wasn't ever really me. That was a set of conditioning that I thought was how I was supposed to function on some level. Now, this wasn't a conscious thought. This was all subconscious. This just came out like a couple months ago for me. I went, wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. So let me know if you're live below, if you're getting what I'm throwing down, and also let me know. I would love to know, what are some of those subconscious thoughts that you have started to become aware of, right? Are they beneficial? Are they not beneficial? Are they supporting you and cheering you on? Are they helping you with your awareness? Or are they sabotaging? Are they telling you you can't do something? Are they telling you you're not worth it or not good enough or don't deserve something? Those are all subconscious patterns that we've gotten from childhood that are not all that helpful. All right. Yeah. So mainly keep wondering if I'm meant to be a coach. Yep. Going through this frustration, went through the roof. Why try to help anybody when they're going to mess it up anyway? Oh, these are great. That's really great. Really great ones to look at. What else you guys got? What else is in there? Now, this is something too that, is sometimes pretty vulnerable for people because it's like, how can I have thoughts like that in my head? Right? How could I really be telling myself that every day? Right? Is that even true? Now, one of the things I like to do is I like to look at it from this perspective of whose voice is it? Is it my internal voice? Am I talking to myself? Or is it some other voice talking to me? And the way you can tell is if somebody's talking to you, they'll say you. They'll say, you need to do this, right? But when you're talking to yourself, you say I, right? So I don't feel like it way more than I'm comfortable with, right? So you look and see, it's like, well, where's this voice? Is it a voice? Is it just a thought pattern? Is it just an energy? Now, when we get deep into energy and energetic mastery, we can really start to see what you just said right there was, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it is an energetic addiction to being comfortable where you are in the moment. And so if you're like, it's cold in Australia right now. I mean, not that I can complain, it's not that cold, but it's cold. So I wake up in the mornings and I'm like, oh, I don't want to get up and do the things. I don't feel like it. But I know if I don't, I'm going to set myself the rest of the day up for being late or scrambling for things or rushing or in an adrenaline pump through my day, or at least for the morning. So I go, okay, feeling like it is never a place I want to choose from because I know that it's sabotage. Every time I don't feel like it is a time where there's something else that's calling me that's going to be a greater choice and create more for me. Yeah. And that's really like when you really get into energetic mastery and working with your own energy and working on where your energetic addictions are and really adding in energetic priorities helps with the next layer. So there's a lot of people talking about subconscious patterns, subconscious blocks, things like that out there. And a lot of times this is working with your head, right? Working with your subconscious. But when you layer, like we do, with the energy on top of it, then you can get to the deeper layers of what's really running your reality, where you're really choosing from. And so much of the time it's to avoid uncomfortableness, right? Yeah. Sabotage thoughts of always same issues. Nothing works. Nothing works. Yeah. Nothing works. So if you're telling yourself that all the time, then you're putting that vibe out there. So you won't ever make a choice to trust yourself, because really what nothing works means you don't work. Yeah. And that's actually a clarity, a confidence, and also a free to be you issue in the subconscious. Yeah. Cool. Throw them out there. What else you guys got? My thoughts start with you and are not mine. Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is such a great question to ask yourself is, who's talking to me? If they're not yours, then why are you listening to them? Why are you listening? Would you just listen to some random person on the street? Right? Are you being 5 years old still listening to your mother criticize you? So we go, oh, wait a second. Why am I listening to that thought? Right? And when it's a you, like they're talking to you, then you can actually just say, no, thank you. I'm not having that information. That's not my priority. Because here's the thing. It seems like, right, what's in our head is ours. It seems like, of course, of course it's mine. Of course, I don't trust myself. Of course, I shouldn't trust myself. Right? But when we start going, wait a second, it's talking to me, then who is it? Two things. One is ask, who is this? And two, look at it. Look in the direction that the voice is coming from and see what you find. Okay. See what happens. And also the third thing is I would stop listening to them. I'm no longer interested in your perspective, whoever you are. Right. Sometimes I've had people say it's my deceased mother. Yeah, deceased mother's still talking to you, right? And not like from the other side, but the criticism or that conversation they had as a kid is still running the tape, because that's what got implanted on your subconscious, right? Is whatever is in there, usually from when you were a kid. And when you've been doing subconscious work, then you get to dive into the deeper layers. So the first stuff is usually looking at confidence, your clarity, your willingness to be clear. Because the thing is, like with clarity, if you're not willing to get really clear on what you would like to have and the experience you'd like to have to manifest, because we're talking about manifestation here, really, if you're not able or willing to get clear, it goes deep into a belief that you can't have what you want. So why get clear anyway? There's a theme there. And sometimes it's a little bit different, but that's one. The second one is usually confidence. If you don't have confidence, you've either usually been told you can't have it, you shouldn't want that, things like that, or you've gone for it and failed a number of times, or you've gone for it and then been sabotaged by family, siblings, things like that. So then your confidence is like, you actually don't really trust yourself. You're not really fully confident and connected to that this can actually happen. Then, so sometimes we'll do the fake confidence where we'll puff ourselves up. So I'm going to go for it anyway. And then that's where we go up, we start something, and then we stop. So oftentimes the symptoms look like we'll be making plans for it. We'll sketch it all out. Here's what we're going to do. And then we just don't follow through. And follow through is a big one for when there's a lack of confidence. If you're not following through, then where's that break? Where's that subconscious pattern coming in saying it's not going to work out anyway? Right? It's so good. So good. All right. And then the third one is about freedom. So it's free to choose fully what you would like to choose, choosing for you, but also free to be you. So sometimes those two are connected, but oftentimes what they're connected to in the subconscious is people pleasing and overgiving. So putting everybody else first and not yourself. So if you've got this clarity, confidence, or freedom all sort of connect into these deeper layers of subconscious conditioning and subconscious blocks. Okay, because when you're going for manifesting your desires and manifesting your dreams and having your best life, going for it, if you have those subconscious blocks, then it gets very hard to create what you want because there'll be sabotage at every angle. Whether you have one more strong than the other, or whether you just have one, or maybe you have all three, or a little bit of all three, or like close, like okay, but not like 100%, then you will subconsciously block yourself. Okay. And we see this over and over and over and over. So resolving these, number one, like we did last week, is actually paying attention. Pay attention to your thoughts. And now this week, notice where they're coming from. Whose are they? And if it's a you, then when? Who, when, where are they coming from? Start to notice that this week. So that's your homework for this week. And next week, we're going to dive into part 3. So we're going to take all of this and put it all together in a different way for you. All right, let me read your comments here. So yes, but I noticed that the thought pattern I started countering was, I don't feel like it with, if you'll feel better after it. That's a great one. That's a great repositioning. And then did you do it? Did you follow through? Yeah. Nasty little game of swinging from too much to not enough. Oh yeah. That can really mess you up too, because then you're always in judgment, right? Yeah. Just because you're not in my head doesn't mean it's, or it says in my head doesn't mean it's mine. They taught me that one. That was a game changer for me about 12 years ago, when I started to realize that not everything in my head was mine, and not everything in my head was important and valuable and should be my priority. Because if you keep making whatever's in your head your priority, then you'll have the same life, because you'll be taking the same actions, you'll be thinking the same thoughts, and your energy will be the same, right? Because all of those things go together, and you have to be able to identify some of these so you can make some changes. Yep. Yes, I did. Froze my ass off. Sounds like you went outside and got some stuff done there. All right. So whose is this week? All right, you guys, have fun with this, and we will see you next week for what is subconsciously blocking you, part 3 for next week. All right. We'll see you later. Bye, guys.